Hi everyone, it's Chenso from Reality Art Pod. I'm here to recap week 8 of Big Brother 25, otherwise known as the week that shall not be named. So just to preface this is one of the most boring weeks of Big Brother I've ever watched. I'm gonna do my best to make this as entertaining as possible for you, especially because I know a lot of people took a week off this week, including a lot of people on the production staff of this program. I'm gonna recap the 2 episodes that happened this week, and at the end of the video, I'm gonna do an updated player ranking based on how everyone's doing in the game as of the end of Thursday's episode. Before I dive in, if you like these videos, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the season. So let's dive into it. It's week 8 in the Big Brother house. We're coming off of the fake double eviction last week, and this episode came on at 10 p.m. Eastern time. At this point, this should be Big Brother After Dark. There should be nudity, there should be drinking and cussing, uncensored too. We want uncensored cussing. After Jared's eviction, Blue is shook at the night's events. Cerise says all of her icks were confirmed and now she doesn't have to pretend anymore with people. They go into flashbacks recapping the double eviction. Corey wins the HOH. Jared says, do what you gotta do. Corey asks Blue in the bathroom, if you win the veto, are you going to take down Jared? And she nods yes, so bad answer. Now she's suddenly a nomination. Then she desperately decides to start lying, saying that she won't use it. So Corey pacifies her and says, okay, I won't put you on the block, I trust you. Corey goes to celebrate with his allies. America kisses Corey, and Matt jokingly goes for a kiss too. Corey tells them that he doesn't trust Blue, and then Corey smartly nominates Jared and Blue. We find out that Jared actually picked Matt for house guest choice in the veto competition, and then Matt ends up winning the veto. I thought this would have bigger game repercussions for Matt, but it ended up not being talked about too much. So back to my recap. Blue asks Matt to use the veto on her. She wants Cerise to go instead of Jared. Matt tells Blue that he's not using the veto. Then Jared wants Matt to use it on him. Matt tells Jared that he will use it on him, even though he won't, which is an unnecessary lie. Blue tells Jared that she knew that he was a target this whole time, and Jared is annoyed with Blue for being dishonest. Jared scrambles to campaign. Felicia DRs that he threw her under the bus last week. Time to roll that bus over you this week. She says karma is a hot mess. Everyone is scrambling. Bowie Jane is sick of being played by Jared and Cerise. Cerise says everyone is insulting her intelligence by lying to her face. And then Jared is evicted and Cerise feels alone. This recap was very rushed, so if my recap of this recap was rushed, that's why. So now that I've completed the recap inception, onto the current events. The Scaryverse bank teller sends them their message and Cerise is jazzed. She reads the unbroken message that Big Brother zombies are coming back. Jared and Cam come back in the worst zombie costumes I've ever seen. These are fabric dyed mummy costumes. Also, it frustrates me that Jared and Cam never have zombie makeup. Like, even if Big Brother doesn't make you do the zombie makeup, do the zombie makeup. So while Cerise did a great job containing her sorrow when Jared was evicted, she cannot contain her happiness when he comes back. The Scaryverse tells us that there will be no HOH, no veto, no eviction. That's right, nothing. A snooze fest, just a week-long zombie battle. This one competition did not need to be a week-long ordeal. I forget why, but Cameron points at us and says, not so fast. This was just so unsettling, I couldn't not mention it. Corey knows that this is terrible for his game, and it is, and we'll talk about that later, and he knows that he needs to get both of them out. Matt and Blue also know this is not good for them. This isn't really good for anybody. Jared ends up confronting Blue and Felicia in front of Cerise. Felicia raises her voice and says, you guys played my ass and fucked me last week. Jared and Blue end up leaving Cerise and Felicia alone. Felicia and Cerise start having a one-on-one mother off. Now, a lot of people tried to take sides between Cerise and Felicia in the mother off, and I'll tell you one thing about a mother off is nobody loses in a mother off except for the children. Cerise ends up standing up. I've never seen Cerise pop off like this. Cerise yells, everybody was voting against you, and Felicia yells, everyone was voting against him tonight. Shots are flying. These two queens are evenly matched. Then Jared comes in and makes an ass out of himself trying to get involved. Jared calls Felicia out on saying that she wanted a final 2 with Jared, not Cerise. She says, tell me when that was. Oh, you don't know because you weren't there. I want to see the tape. And of course, they roll back the tape. Cerise and Jared are double teaming Felicia now in front of Mimi. They're all right and they're all wrong, especially wrong for airing out their game where everyone can hear. Then Cameron brings his weird, awkward presence into the bathroom, plops down with Jag, Matt, and Blue, and simply says, what a game, guys. Matt says that he loves Cerise and says that he feels bad and that Jared was the target. Cerise says that she trusts Matt and there's always a person she should get rid of but doesn't. So I know the show isn't pre-recorded, but this seems like obvious foreshadowing. How is it foreshadowing? I don't know. You tell me in the comments. Corey, Matt, Jag, and America want Cameron to win the zombie battle back, and America does a high kick about it for no reason. Sometimes you just want to kick high. Jared and Blue talk. Jared's not happy that Blue knows that he was being targeted and didn't tell him, which is true, but she tells us that he withheld information from her too, which is also true. It's time for the BB zombie battle, the Resurrection Rumble, and this this is a weird challenge title for me. They head to the backyard, which is now a graveyard, and there are terribly animated ghosts that are also the best animation that Big Brother's ever had. So here's what's happening this week. They're going to be playing in the zombie battle. It's going to be played in 3 rounds, and a logical-minded person would think that this was 3 different challenges, and the best of 3 would win the weekly challenge. But no, they're going to be playing one challenge where they just take arbitrary breaks twice to make it 3 parts. And the challenge is one that I actually usually enjoy. Bringing the balls back and forth on a balance beam, having to be slow and steady. This is a challenge that anyone can win. And after the 3 rounds, the person who wins gets to decide on Thursday whether or not they want to play in a challenge to get back into the game. Round 1 is 10 minutes long. Cameron wants to lay the balls to bed and says, "Night night, fool." Who were you talking to? Me? On a personal note, I couldn't think of anything more torturous than my 2 least favorite and also the 2 worst players doing this battle. So round 1 ends, they're tied up, who cares? So they take their breaks to, I guess, strategize. There's not much to think about here. Jag ends up giving Cameron advice to save like 1 or 2 seconds in the challenge, but this challenge is never going to come down to 1 or 2 seconds. Round 2 starts, the show continues to act like the tiniest things make a difference. The only thing that matters is not to drop the balls. They both drop all their balls and have to start over. For anyone going on this show in the future, the only strategy is do not drop your balls. Cameron ends the first round in the lead, and he tells us, not only have you not seen the last of me, you're going to see a whole lot more of me. And this comes across as a threat to the audience. He says, Daddy is driven to win this competition. I'm just going to pretend that message was meant for his daughter at home and not me. During their last break, Sari, the balance beam aficionado, gives Jared tips about the challenge. Then the Nether Gorgon's voice announces the next round. And where is the Nether Gorgon? I missed that guy. So the competition continues, and this piece of crap episode ends with a cliffhanger. This might be the single worst episode in Big Brother history. We get to the Thursday episode, and the announcer is using his vampire voice. I wish this was his voice all the time. The music is also hauntingly affected as well, which is nice. And it's in black and white. He says it's time for a blood-curdling episode of Big Brother. Julie now has long hair again. That makes no sense. Obviously, it's a wig. Okay, that was fun, but I'm back. Julie actually looks really great in the pink dress that she's wearing. Back to the Resurrection Rumble. In the 3rd round, there's no time limit. They just have to get all their balls. Blue wants her boo poo to win, but Jared sucks at this. There's no doubt the whole time that Cam is going to win. So Cameron wins the challenge, and he gets to decide who plays in the challenge on Thursday. Jared cries about it in the diary room. He says that winning would have been a step in the right direction. Sure would have. So Cameron's goal is to build relationships for the rest of the week. Felicia, Sari, and Mimi console sad Jared. Felicia says, think about what your mom would say. Seems like Brown Sugar Babes might be reforming, getting the band back together. Cameron wants to align with Matt and Jag, which is just team bad TV. Cameron acknowledges that he and Jag have both been evicted and need to work together, which is fair. They pull in Blue to make it a foursome. Cam compares them to the Brigade. Matt says he doesn't know what the Brigade is. He says he was probably 5 when that happened. There's a scene of Corey and America making out in the shower. Felicia and Jag come in and America ducks down in the shower, but they catch her. This was funny. Mimi and Corey meet and he wants to make a deal to keep America and Corey safe. Then he talks to Felicia, same thing. Matt thinks Corey is being sus. Felicia, Mimi, and America and Corey later meet to make that final 4. But Matt, Blue, and Jag meet to expose Corey and America, especially Corey. Jared asks Cameron what his decision will be on Thursday, and he says he's going to play. Cameron is confident. Julie shows Cameron and Jared the challenge. It's maneuvering a ball on a board into the zombie's hand. This looks pretty difficult. Cam chooses to play, and I think that he can do it. He's great under pressure. I actually don't think Jared would have been able to do this. So it's time for the competition. I couldn't be less nervous. I was pretty confident that Cam was going to do this. I thought when I was watching this that he had to get 3 balls in 3 minutes. I guess because they showed 3 balls, so I thought he had to get 3. So when the clock was approaching 1 minute left and he was moving so slowly, I was getting so frustrated watching the TV. Like, you have to move faster. You're not going to get 3. But then he gets 1, and Julie says, congratulations, you won the challenge. So I was like, oh, he won? So Cameron crushed that so much that he could just take his time throughout the whole thing. So Cameron is back. Jared is evicted again. Sari has to say goodbye again, but this time there's more closure. Jared and Blue kiss goodbye, and zombie Jared meets Julie in his mummy costume. Jared gets emotional in his interview, and we rarely see people cry like this during the interview, and this was kind of sad. I know a lot of people don't like Jared, and I'm not the biggest Jared fan myself, but you feel for him in this moment. In the goodbye messages, Blue says that she'll miss their paw print blanket time, which is a really weird thing to say in your goodbye message. Like, I miss hooking up with you under that blanket. You'll always have these Lysol wipes to remember me by. Purr. Sari vows to get revenge on Corey, which is not good for Corey, and we'll talk about that later. Julie says the Scaryverse week is over, but we'll be back, obviously, for Halloween. and everyone will be playing in the HOH, and the Wednesday episodes are now moved to Tuesdays because CBS doesn't care. So with that, we have to say goodbye to Jared, who last week I had rated in last place, but for the majority of the beginning of the season, he floated around towards the top. And coming into the season at the beginning, before I even knew that Suri was on the cast, I didn't know if I had high hopes for him. I ranked him actually towards the bottom of my initial ranking. I had him ranked 13 out of the original 16 people that were released, and my biggest concern about him coming into this was that he would have big shoes to fill, and he had Suri's legacy that he would feel like he had to live up to. And we did see a lot of that from him. We saw a lot of him wanting to pave his own ground, saying, I'm the legend now, really trying to make a name for himself, and you can't blame him for that. I can't imagine spending the majority of your life being Suri from Survivor's son. You want to make a name for yourself beyond that, and I think he would have had better luck if Suri didn't end up actually on this cast. That reality would have probably been him having close relationships still with Blue, with Matt, with Jag, with Corey, probably being in the Family Style Alliance, probably with America as well. Honestly, they probably would have steamrolled the entire season. The biggest negative to his game that led to his downfall was just not trusting the right people and also just spreading information around the house that he should have just kept to himself. The biggest reason a lot of people had him rated highly is his secret relationship with Suri was so valuable. And once they got to a point where they were backed into a corner and everyone saw them as an isolated duo, that relationship had no value in the game. Add on to it the fact that him and Blue spent so much time under that blanket. Overall, it's a no for me, dog. I'm happy to see him gone at this point. The highlights for his game were that he was involved in a lot of the important alliances and strategizing, and he did win 2 HOHs, and that helps to propel Suri forward, which I like. If his purpose is to help Suri do a little bit better, then I'm okay with that. So let's get into these rankings. At number 10 out of 10, I was really tempted to have a different person, but I'm going to put Cam in last place again. Credit to him because he's really good at competitions. The competitions are what got him back into the game. He did do a really good job of integrating himself into some of the social structures in the house this week. The biggest problem for me is I'm just not buying that the house guests won't evict him at the earliest opportunity. Like, there's an extremely high likelihood that he just gets backdoored this week. There's been a lot of talk on different sides of the house about nominating people who are not very good at competitions and evicting them. But house guests, I encourage you to think with your brains. Also, they're going to start thinking about what if there's a post-jury battle back, which very well could happen. Even if it doesn't happen, they're going to be thinking about it. So, I don't know. It's a 10 for me, dog. At number 9, this is someone who I was very tempted to put in last place. And that's Corey, someone who everyone in the house is very suspicious of. The players who have won pretty much all of the competitions, besides like 2 or 3, are talking about getting Corey out this week. And if they mean what they say, they very well could just evict him easily. What makes Corey a little bit better than Cameron to put him not in last place is he does have that close relationship with America. She is always going to be loyal to him, and I don't think Cameron has anybody that's always going to be loyal to him. I think if Corey or America won HOH, that would be really good for their games. I just think the chances of that happening are a little bit low right now. I would love to see it, but yeah, not good. And he fell from 5th place to 9th place this week. In 8th, I have Felicia, who last week I had 6th. So here's why. A lot of people are talking about nominating getting Felicia out. I think that's silly because she's so not a serious threat in competitions. I think it's so foolish to nominate Mimi and Felicia and evict Felicia over Mimi. But that's what their plan is, and it's all because they don't want Felicia in the jury. They think that she's going to be a bitter juror. So I think there's a high likelihood that Felicia might go home this week. If she makes it through this week, gets onto the jury, then her stock goes up, right? If they don't want her on the jury, then they've got to bring her to the final 2. In 7th, I have Bowie Jane. I feel like everyone in the BB community has a group psychosis about Bowie Jane. Like, we all have this fantasy that she's going to win out every competition in the end game. And that's an awesome fantasy, and I would love to see it happen, but I just can't foresee it happening. Bowie is extremely intelligent. She's really good socially, but I can't ever see her coming up with a plan and getting everyone to execute that plan. But I actually don't have much bad to say about her game. I just struggle to see her winning Big Brother, and I think that everybody left to talk about has a chance to actually win right now. But I hope that she gets a little bit more involved this week because I hate not having much to say. And she was 7th last week and is 7th this week again. At number 6, I have Jag, who last week I had 4th. Last week I feel like was Jag's best gameplay the entire season so far. This week, a little bit of a slip back. He's in way too many people's crosshairs of someone that could be on the block as a target. Of all the potential targets, however, I feel like he's the most safe. It's really not good for him if Felicia or Mimi win HOH, but the chances of that happening are so slim. So here he is in 6th for now, but I feel like if he does end up getting closer with Matt and with Cameron, unfortunately, the 3 of them really could steamroll the game. At number 5, I have America, who last week I had 3rd. I worry that the Izzy flip is the best gameplay we're going to get from America this season. I also worry worry if Corey and America are nominated and Corey wins the veto that America might be toast. But at least this week, if Corey wins the veto, Cameron probably goes home, right? So I'm slightly nervous that America will go home this week, but it's still good for her that Corey is taking the blame for all the things that her and Corey do. It's also good for her if Mimi or Felicia win HOH. And if Corey ends up leaving, I think America's in a really good place in the game. At number 4, I have Blue, who last week I had as 9th, and this is a big jump for Blue. And here's why. Blue has been putting in really good work with a lot of different people in the house. She's in a place where she's not in a lot of people's combinations of who they'd put on the block, and Jared being voted out is great for Blue's game. That's someone who she was always going to be nominated on the block next to, and if they're nominated together and Jared wins the veto, she could go home. She built stronger bonds with Matt and Jag, and I think she's their real third, not Cameron, as the show would make it seem. She started playing really hard this week, and now that Jared's gone, she has even more time to play even harder, and I guess she's Cerie's closest ally and the only person that knows her secret. She also has valuable information against Cerie, just in case Cerie ever does turn on her. So I feel good about Blue. That star is rising. Purr. At number 3, I have Cerie, who last week was 8th. The big jump forward, very similar to Blue, has to do with Jared leaving. Jared was terrible for Cerie's game for several reasons. Firstly, he was a big target that she was attached to. Secondly, he was someone who she was going to lay down her game for at some point in time. And he was consistently leaking information that was tanking her game to Blue and the other side of the house. Now, Cerie is a free agent. She put in a lot of work this week. She needed that week to really ingrain herself back into the house and make some bridges with some people. She's coming into this week not really anyone's target. The more time that she could buy to work on some people, the easier it's going to be for her to get herself into a winning place. I'm still finding it hard to see the winning vision for her and her path to the final 2, but I think it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable seeing Cerie play without Jared there. At number 2, I have Mimi, who last week was 1st. I don't actually have too much to say about Mimi. I think that she didn't do much this week. The good for Mimi is she's not really anyone's target. She's someone that a lot of people see as someone that they can work with. The bad for Mimi is there are a few people that want to put up Mimi and Felicia. So what happens if Felicia wins the veto and Mimi's still on the block? Or what happens if people are like, why are we voting out Felicia over Mimi? So I feel like Mimi has a lot of ducks lined up in the right way, but I feel like being nominated with Felicia could be the hole in Mimi's Death Star. I think that Mimi really needs to win a competition, preferably an HOH soon, so that she can build some stronger bonds with people and they could see more value in her as a competitor. Getting to my first place player this week, someone who has been first before but last week was second, is Matt. Obviously, because we don't have an HOH at the end of the Thursday episode, I'm basing a lot of this off of potential nominations. Matt could end up nominated next to Jag, but if Jag wins the veto, Cameron probably gets nominated and sent home. I can't really think of a combination where Matt does go home, at least not something that would actually happen. I think the house guests are nowhere near close to the realization that they need to vote Matt out if they want to win. Actually, Corey had that revelation when he said everyone wants to work with Matt, including me. Cerie had that revelation when she told us I usually have someone that I should vote out, and I think that Matt is that. So the fact that they're all so aware that Matt is playing such a winning game and not wanting to vote him out has him here as number 1 for me. So apologies if these got redundant. I've been doing the same rankings of the same people 3 weeks in a row. Let's get this game moving. But that's all I have to say about this week. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the video. I'll be back next Thursday to talk about this week of Big Brother. We'll actually have an HOH and a veto. It's the little things. Also, I'm covering the Challenge USA, and Survivor right now on my channel. So don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week. Bye.